a 1, a 2, a skiddly diddly do. Happy episode 35, baby!
Let's talk about it.
Yes, sir.
What are we talking about, boys?
Let's talk about
Credit.
Let's talk about it, baby.
We're talking credit
Let's
today.
not talk about my credit.
How's your credit, huh? How's yours?
Mid-5s.
850s? All right. Welcome to the
got you.
podcast.
Yeah, I can get a
Experience
daily.
says 550. Credit Karma says 490.
Oh, no. The tri-merge is all off.
Oh, no.
Well,
All right.
Wow.
We're
Welcome
diving
back.
right into it.
episode 35.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn near 8 months in.
Yeah.
Cooking.
Cooking.
Shout out, first of all, to all the new subscribers. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Welcome to our podcast where we cover anything that has to do with business, anything that has to do with finance and life, motivation, mentality. Whatever you need, you'll find it here. So without further ado, my name is Thomas McCauley, your head of partner relations, and to my left I have...
Frank Grizzly Lawando, the COO.
Frankie D, CEO.
Appia Fergoletti, Director of Banking Relations.
And now...
Oh.
Introducing the number one credit experts in the
Credit
world,
experts.
Lexington Capital
Our fans go
They know
wild.
credit too. They know credit too.
Help.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Well,
Awesome.
I think as the founding fathers of our credit team, Tom Appio, take the floor away. Let's talk a little about credit.
I mean, credit, one of the most important things to know and be knowledgeable about here in this current time. Can't get anything done without it. Can't buy a house. Can't rent a house. Can't get anything, essentially, unless you're very, very cash heavy.
Yeah.
Credit. We're here to talk about it. I love how when I first joined the company, I was on the floor as a cold salesman for a little while, and eventually we started up our credit repair, which we ran for a little while. We had our credit repair cup for about a year. Very hairy type of industry, a non-guarantee type of industry. I got promoted. Frankie here promoted me to start our credit repair team here, which eventually led into the LexLock. But you learn so much about credit, and it's one of the most important things, from your score to your utilization to your accounts to your age to what type of accounts you have to how you utilize your credit over time, to your derogatory marks, collections, bankruptcies. We're going to cover a lot of good ground today, and all four of us are very, very, very well versed in credit. So I recommend everybody to really stick through to the very end and have both ears wide open, grab your Q-tips, clean them out, because you're going to learn a lot of good stuff today that you should hold on to for the rest of your life.
That's one of the greatest things about credit too. Learning it doesn't take that long.
Oh, no.
You just have to sit down for a little bit, focus on it, realize what you're learning, and apply it. What really helped me was starting to think of credit in the eyes of a lender rather than the eyes of a borrower. You're looking at a report and you want to determine, how much would a lender be giving me? You know what I mean? Rather than like, this is what I need. I don't understand why I'm not meeting it. You can look at your report in detail if you know what you're doing, and then you can understand about what you're going to be seeing from each institution, rather, with all those factors that you did say. And that's really what sped up my learning of credit. I mean, I got pretty well versed in it within 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
What makes up a credit score? Like what 5 components?
Pay history, utilization, pay history, age,
how aged your accounts are,
credit mix,
the type of credit you have, and your pay history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those 5 factors. I mean, they come together, and that's the biggest thing too, that people don't really fully understand why their credit scores are different per bureau. Those 3 bureaus are basically 3 judges that have different risk factors. There's a lot of different kinds of credit as well. You have your FICO 8s, your FICO 3s, your bank card, your auto. You have Vantage scores. All of those are just different ways of determining risk while looking at your report, which is why those numbers are always different.
Yeah, I mean, like Tom said, from Vantage to FICO, big differences. So Vantage Scores is a big company that generates your scores. FICO is a big company that generates your scores. 2 different credit monitoring type of agencies, right? And there's all different types. There's your FICO, there's your FICO 8, there's your FICO 8 bank card, there's your FICO 9, FICO 10, FICO auto, FICO mortgage. There's a lot of different types of credit categories that, when you're applying for certain types of loans, play into effect. Whereas if you're applying for a credit card, you're looking likely at your the banks are likely looking at your FICO 8 bank card rating. They could be looking at Vantage scores depending on which banks you go to. But the difference here is the weights behind all of those 5 categories that you guys mentioned before, right? So there's different weighting, just like if you were back in school. 35% of your weight is due to your utilization, 20% of the weight is due to the payment history, 15% for the average age, 10% for the inquiries, all different weighting behind, and those weights vary between your Vantage, your FICO 8, your FICO 9, your FICO 10, your FICO 8 bank card. They're all different weighted categories depending on the type of financing that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And one of my most important things in my mind, I mean, obviously, besides the big stuff, you have to have some age behind you. You can't be 18 years old or 38 years old just getting your first credit card and expect to go out and get a mortgage, of course, right? You want to have some good weight behind you. You don't just want to have that score. You can be on your parents' credit cards as an authorized user from when you were born till you turned 18, have a great credit score, but there's no strength behind it, right? So as you age, you want to make sure that you pick and choose the correct times and the correct types of financing to take out to add that strength to your credit. Because if you're going to your friend Johnny and you want to go and borrow $20 from Johnny, he's going to ask you, well, have you ever borrowed $20 from anybody else before? No, I haven't. Well, why should I give it to you? And then you start off by borrowing $20 from Johnny. And then maybe a year later you want to borrow $100, and 2 years later you want to borrow $1,000. You add that weight, and slowly you increment yourself up to the point where you can leverage your credit to purchase your car, purchase your house, purchase anything that you want, be able to rent a home. There's just so many different factors, and it's just so damn important, especially here in America.
Oh my
Credit.
God, yeah.
It could either really make you or break you. And another thing that comes to credit strength too is who you have these lines with. If you have a bunch of the Home Depot cards or store cards, it's not going to
Macy's,
weight as much
Bloomingdale's.
on your report as something like a Bank of America card or
American
a Chase
Express.
card or American Express, one of those high-tiered banks or institutions that, they're kind of similar to MCA lenders in a way, where if they see, like the Home Depot card, Chase is kind of scratching their head, like, do I really want to come behind that? That's not really the best of pay history, you know what I mean? So that's another thing to take into consideration. Big banks like to see other big banks in your credit report. It makes them more comfortable that you're able to pay on time with a larger institution.
Yeah.
With that too, it's kind of like how you have do you want to come behind that, you're using your Home Depot for shorter purchases mostly. You're going to go buy that vacuum cleaner, buy that lawnmower, and you're going to pay it off in 3 months. Whereas with the Chase card, you're probably using it for something bigger. You're going to pay for that vacation. You're going to do something a little more enticing with it. It's a longer term. It's whatever. Those trade cards, they have higher rates, so it's using them for different things, and they want to look at that. You know.
And one, just because it popped in my head, a quick trick to get high limits is revolve your cards. Use them. Chase might give you a starter card at $2,000, but if you never touch it, they're never going to increase your limit. Use them, revolve them. That's what the banks like. Call up, ask for a limit increase. You're going to get it. Just make sure you have good pay history, you pay on time, and in essence, make the bank money, and they'll want to lend you more.
Yeah. Another quick example, jumping off of that, is if say you get approved for a $10,000 credit card, Chase, American Express, wherever. If you only spend $1,000 and then pay it off, and $1,000 and pay it off, and $1,000 and pay it off, well, you don't have a need for more credit. So spend $10,000. If you spend $10,000 and you pay it off in full, you purchase all your friends' dinners. Hey, I'll put it on my card today. Just guys, pay me. Just give me the cash for it. It's all right. Rack that up. Get it to the $10,000. Max that thing out. Pay it off in full. Do it for another month. Pay it off in full. Do it for one more month. Pay it off in full. Ask for a limit increase. Now you just went. The bank is like, oh, this guy, he spends money. We're making a lot of money off this guy. Every time he swipes that card, we make 2% off the transaction fees. Let's give him more. Let's give him $25,000. All right. Well, now you have a $25,000 limit credit card. Now you look like a pretty damn healthy borrower. It's going to be a lot easier for you to get qualified just because that limit is now showing on your credit profile. You want to have the highest limits possible showing on your credit profile. So every month I kind of pick and choose one card, like my American Express Platinum. If you look at my credit report, if you don't know American Express Platinum, there's no limits. You can't. It's not an unlimited card, but there's no set preset limit, but when you look at a credit report, it'll show the highest that you ever spent. And my highest ever spent, it's up there. Bit of a spender, but I gave my card to my father for a little while, had him purchase some materials. I tried paying for some dinners, and I made sure that 1 month I went really, really, really hard so that on my credit profile it showed a high maximum spent. And then I paid it off in full, right? And it just makes you seem that much more qualified for anything that you do in life. It makes you just seem, I don't even know the exact word I'm looking for. Reliable. This guy can spend a lot of money and he's responsible.
For it too. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to give you a crazy high limit on a card when there's no need for it, like you were saying kind of earlier. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk a lot about too is credit misconceptions, because that's what I hear all the time on the phone. You know, I have people who are like the guy's 54 and he closed all of his cards after he got them. That was the advice that they gave them at that time. Like, hey, use your cards until you need them. When you don't need them, close them. Yeah. And that just tarnishes your
it's
credit
better just
age.
to leave a card aged and just not even use it and get rid of it fully.
Absolutely.
That's
Thank
a closed
goodness.
account.
Thank goodness a lot of people are becoming more aware of that, where everybody knows, I shouldn't close this out. I shouldn't close this out,
There's
because that
definitely a lot
plays
more
into the
education
age.
on it, but there's definitely a lot of gurus out there that are like telling people like the wrong things to do, which is like kind of like, it really like hurts my heart to like see people because like people will come to us and like start talking about stuff and I'm just like, dude, like, who told you that? You know what I mean? Like, please, like, let me smack this guy.
What's his
right.
Instagram handle?
What I think's nuts about credit is that it's technically like a made up thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like basically like back in the day, like before credit was like established, like the major credit bureaus and stuff like that, like people and banks would basically like go to people that you know. So if Tom was trying to like get a home loan back in the day, they would basically go up to like 5 to 10 people that Tom know and be like, is he reliable? You know, would he pay back this loan? You know, basically Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, FICO, everybody else, they compile, they have like their own API technology, and based off of a lot of different factors and scenarios like the age accounts, you know, what kind of debt you have, your usage, all that jazz, they all compile a different score, and then that's your credit score. And that's why, like, if you look at your Experian or your TransUnion or Equifax, which are the 3 major credit bureaus, you might see a different score for each one of them. And I thought at first that was weird, but I didn't realize that they are all just different companies that just look at credit in like different ways. But like, if you think about it, then it's really kind of just like a made up thing. We could start up our own credit bureau, call it Lex Union. You know what I mean? And
Write that down.
Write that down.
Remy.
Yeah. Get that going, Grizz. Patent that shit. But and then we could compile our own score, and like that's why when you go on like your Experian app, it might say like 780, and you might go on Credit Karma, which looks at TransUnion, it might say fucking like it could be like as low as like 690. You know, it could be off like 60, 70, 50 points. We've had people come in with a whirlwind of a difference. You know, just from those two.
Yeah.
And that's one thing too, is not everything reports to excuse me, all 3 bureaus. So sometimes you'll have something that's just reporting to TransUnion, and you know, God forbid you go derogatory on it. That's why you see 750s and everything else, and TransUnion's at 620, and you're questioning why. I mean, reading a report is pretty simple. You know, you just go down it, and it will show you like 30, 60, 90 days late with a little description of when it happened or
it's
what
important
exactly
to be educated
happening.
on that too, because like say you're going to get a mortgage and like you know you want your mortgage officer should know this, but like know that this bank that you're going to only pulls Experian. Like my Experian score is beautiful, I could go there, and that's what's beautiful about our LexLock program is we know which bank pulls from which credit bureau based off of mostly like their geographical location.
Mm-hmm.
So like for instance, like a good example is like if you live in New York, Chase might pull from Experian, but if you live in Texas, Chase might pull from TransUnion.
They might.
They might. We don't really. we wouldn't tell you. But yeah, that's all just good stuff to know, and like you can kind of like get around like the system, like quote unquote, while you're working your TransUnion score like back up to where it needs to be.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Like credit, like I said, credit can either make you or break you. It's unfortunate, really, because you know if you don't have great credit, everything that you go to finance is going to be infinitely
it's really
more expensive.
easy to build it up though. Like, can we talk about your story?
Yeah, so I never had credit. I was a server at a restaurant. My whole life was cash. There was no reason to have credit, and now
No reason
to have credit. And now I'm here and I'm sitting there and I'm learning everything about credit, and now I'm a credit expert with no credit. And I was like, damn, it's like a mechanic with no
Really
car.
contradicting right now.
Like, that's crazy. So I was like, all right, I gotta do something about this. So
You're a phony.
yeah, I was a phony.
A big fat phony.
Yeah, I was a phony. And it was funny too when I first started here. Frankie's like, I'm gonna get you that Amex. Like, we're gonna get you that Amex.
Hell yeah.
Got that Amex.
We got
Wow.
2 Amexes.
Oh, we got 2
baby.
now.
We got
Yeah.
2 Amexes.
Third on the way. But
Yes, sir. What are some tips?
I was
and
gonna say
tricks?
I'm about to
Yeah.
give the sauce. So like
Yes,
what
sir.
I did, which I didn't expect to actually work as well as it did, but it's a perfect trick if you don't have credit established, but you have someone who does. All I did was I got put as an authorized user on 2 cards, waited 2 months, applied for an Amex, and they gave me a limitless gold Amex.
Yeah.
right away,
Yeah.
which I thought was
Limitless.
crazy. That's another thing. So limitless, when it comes to the limitless, like Appio said, there's no limit. So it starts you with a preset limit that
They don't tell you.
They don't tell you what it is. Amex happens to have this cool thing where you can put in like a dollar amount
Yeah.
and press it,
Yeah,
and it will tell you if they'll approve you for it or not. But that's something that you can consistently grow. So like, I've got it up to 1,000, and it sent me a message. It's like, hey, this is more you ever spent. Slow it down, bucko. And I was like, okay. So
Slow
I
your roll.
paid it all off. Next time it went up to 15. I was like, okay, so we're
getting
getting
there.
You're
places.
working
now.
your way up.
Building that
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah,
And
you're
that's
working your way
it's cool that they do that too, because rather than having to call in for a limit increase or get a whole nother card, which you probably wouldn't have to do, but Amex Limitless just has that in place to gauge your limit as you grow, which
We're
I
gonna
think
have
is
black
sick.
card in 5 years.
That's my favorite thing about
We
it.
applied for the black card.
Yeah, we're on the list.
We're gonna have that soon.
That's my favorite thing about Amex compared to like all the other banks is that Amex is just well, not anymore, just a credit card, like
They're everything
issuer,
now.
but like now they have
That's
their
their
bank
staple.
account.
It's
That's their
niche.
thing,
Yeah, it's their
So like
staple.
with that, like they want to work with you because they want to lend you more. They're gonna make more money off lending you more in an ideal situation.
Credit cards.
So-
Get your credit cards here.
Get to swiping.
But yeah, that's what's cool about Amex is that they actually cater to their clients in the credit fashion rather than wanting the relationship portion of it before giving you better credit abilities. Amex for the win.
Another thing that you could do to boost your credit up if you have no credit is obviously apply for a credit card yourself. If you don't get approved, what a lot of banks will offer you, if they don't offer you, go this route, is you could get a secured card.
Yep.
Definitely a
So
way to go.
what a secured card is you could put, the bank's going to have you put a certain dollar amount into the card. So maybe you'll put $1,000 on that card. So it's almost like a prepaid debit card, as you're going to think about it as, and you're putting money onto that secured card, and then you use it. You have the money right there. You keep adding to it, and then eventually, like same thing. After like 2-3 months, you then once your score goes up, you can then apply for a real revolving credit card, and then that's another good way to boost your credit. So I would honestly do both, as long as you have money. If you
Honestly,
have
it's probably a
bucks.
good idea to do both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Start off with
definitely.
1,000 if that's all you got. 500 if that's
500,
all you got.
whatever you got.
You can get
Yeah.
small
Some
ones, like
would do, like,
250.
250,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can get 250.
And
just
like
to
you could
start
even
out.
go online and just like get like someone like if your credit is just really non-existent, like they have online banks that you can use to
Yeah.
get a $250 secure card.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you start; you just got to start in most
Yeah.
situations.
And there's like you have like also you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot like when you're applying for your first credit card. Like you don't want to go for like the Chase Inc. right away or like the Amex Gold or the Platinum. Like they're starter cards. So I remember my first credit card was a Student Discover card, and the credit score on that I think was a 660 plus is all you needed at the time. And I got it when I was 18 years old when I was a college student. So like I don't know obviously all of them off the top of my head, but I know for a fact Chase has one, Bank of America has one, obviously Discover has one, Capital One has one. So you just gotta go on the website and like it should tell you somewhere in like the fine print like this is gonna be the minimum credit score, yada yada yada. Or if it doesn't, feel free to go into a local branch and then they'll explain to you like, hey, like this is a good starter card. Like this card you're gonna need a 720 and a few different trade lines to get this. Hopefully the bank will be educated enough to know that. We've had scenarios where some banks were educated enough and some where they weren't, and I think that probably just comes down to like the people who are working there at the end of the day. But if you can't get the sauce online, go to your local Chase branch or Bank of America and
Come
they
to
can probably
Lexington.
figure it out. Or just come to Lexington and and we'll help you.
Because that's what happened to me. I wanted to apply for my first card. I already had built a Chase relationship now for a couple months. Like, put a lot of money through Chase.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, listen, like, I don't have credit. Like, you're going to run my credit score, and it's going to be 0. And he was like, all right, no problem. We have this card. It's perfect for that situation. You already have a relationship. You've already moved thousands of dollars through. There's no reason why you should get declined. Waited 2 weeks and got declined. I was like, all right.
Thanks for the inquiry.
buddy.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
No, yeah. And then he actually said, since you don't have credit, there shouldn't be an inquiry. I was like, okay, perfect. There was an inquiry.
Damn.
I was like,
dude, that's
no.
crazy.
Now your credit score is a 450.
Yeah, I was sick.
You went from 2 dashes to a 450.
Yeah, but it didn't actually. So that was what was cool is it didn't display the inquiry until I got put as authorized users. So once credit was able to be displayed, it showed the inquiry. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, not cool.
That guy was not too credit versed.
No.
One thing too that you can do that people don't really discuss is you could ask for a credit decrease. So I know it sounds a little bizarre, but this is like when you're first starting to build credit. Because one thing that screwed me up before I learned all this was when I got my first Capital One card as a college student. Like they gave me a $3,500 credit line. I wasn't making that. I was in college. Like, I hardly had a job up there. So, they could give you a line and it could screw you over, especially if you don't know, like you could obviously overspend. So something like that, like call them up, say, hey, I don't need $3,500. I know I make $500 a month. Give me a $1,000 credit limit. Something like that. They'll be like, okay, no problem. Doesn't hurt you. Doesn't affect you. They'll let you do that because then, it's showing like, okay, now I'm going to make these consistent payments. When I'm ready, I'll get that increase. Because, having bad debt's bad debt. You know, and we'll talk about that.
Just
in a
be
little bit, but-
responsible.
yeah, be responsible. Don't spend above your means because it'll just screw you over.
It's
and,
definitely better to work your limits up and to get
Yeah.
increases on your cards because, like if you said, if you're getting a $500,000 mortgage, they're going to want to see that you have a $25,000, $40,000, $50,000 card. If you have like two $2,500 cards, like that's not good.
No.
And like for business owners, like it's tough too. Like for me, I'm in a catch-22 situation. So like my situation is that I have a student discover card that I never really like worked on getting an increase because I was always dealing with cash too as a server. So I got up to like 10 grand of recent because I've actually been physically working on it. And I have an Amex Platinum card, which is a charge card. And then through the business, obviously I want to write all my stuff off. So I'm constantly spending on my business card, but I don't have a business card that reports to my personal credit. Now, more times than not, we like to steer people away from business cards that report to your personal credit. Capital One's a known one. But in my situation, I probably should get a Capital One. And because I spend a lot for the business, we're probably spending like few hundred grand a month, you know. So imagine if I was throwing that onto my personal credit, paying it off on time every single month. Like, who's not going to want to give me a
Yeah.
mortgage? So I should really go get a Capital One card, a business card that reports to my personal credit. But for me, it's like I'm spending all this money, and if I go to get a mortgage one day, they don't even know. You know what I mean? I have 200,000 racking through my American Express account, and nobody knows. I have nothing to show for it. So as a business owner, it's a little bit of a catch-22, no doubt. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
get a. It's not a bad idea to get a business card that reports to your personal credit.
Just one.
Just
But
obviously.
just know that it does.
Yeah, and be responsible with it, obviously,
Yeah.
because you know sometimes people get business credit cards to get their business up off the ground. So it's like maybe you get a $50,000 card and you run $45,000 on it. Now you're technically 90% utilized. If that's reporting to your business credit's only based off of pay history. It's not affecting you. If you got a Capital One card that reports to your personal credit, you're 90% utilized. Your score tanks. So for a guy like me who pays on time, I would always be below 20, 25, 30% utilization. It would be a good idea.
That's a big thing to say about utilization too. Is it's a little bit more gray than just the overall utilization number on your credit report. So it could say your overall utilization is 30, which is decent, which is good, but you have one card with a high limit maxed out. Your scores are going to be heavily impacted.
But Tom, I have 4 credit cards that are at 0% utilization. What do you
The
mean?
report says 42%.
I completely understand that, but no, realistically, they see like you have a $15,000 card and that thing is maxed
It's
out.
a sham. They should not even have that number, like your total
No,
credit
yeah.
utilization.
No,
It's
it's
such
so
a
dumb.
sham.
They really
Yeah,
shouldn't.
it's a sham.
They really shouldn't, because
It
like
does.
you're saying right now, clients they come to me all the time. I'm like, look, your score. We need a little bit of improvement out of it. Here's one thing that we can do to improve your score, right? Just bring this credit card utilization down a bit. Your score is going to take a nice jump here. But what do you genuinely
Yeah, flustered.
brainwashed
My
and
experience says
flustered?
27% happy. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm already at 25. I'm already at 30%. I'm already at 10%. Well, no, Mr. Customer, you're actually you have these cards that it looks like you never even used them.
Yeah.
Honestly, you probably have those things cut up in your garbage right now, at least in the bank size. You never even use these things. You need to bring this credit card utilization down. Your score is going to take a 50, 60, 70 point increase from this alone.
Yeah.
All right? You don't have to worry. It's not the increase. It's not the amount of your accounts. Another thing I want to jump into right after this is you want to pay down your credit cards down to 0 or down to 1%, 5%, 10%, 25%. One thing you don't want to do before applying for financing is actually fully pay off an account. Very, very, very interesting, and it ticks me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to keep it balanced.
If you have a car loan and you pay it off, you're like, I'm applying for a house, or I'm maybe your house, but if I'm applying for something big and I want to make sure I get approved for this, I want to lower my debt to income ratio. If you pay off your car loan down to 0 and close that account out, now one of those 5 categories, your average credit age drops because now you have a closed account. And funny enough, if you pay off your car, your credit score actually takes a dip. It takes a
Yep.
dip for a period of time, and then
Isn't that nuts?
eventually
Yeah.
it
So
comes back
annoying.
up.
It's so
Crazy.
annoying that you have to take on debt just to build credit. It's frustrating. for sure.
I kind of get, but what I don't understand
It
is
should show the account still.
That's what
it
I'm
should show it on your.
saying.
It shouldn't just fall off. It's like you never even had it.
No,
you know
there's
what I mean?
still age here. I
It's
paid this
crazy.
thing for 3,
Make it
4,
My
5
car loan's
years.
the longest thing I have on my report. If the thing's gonna be paid off in a few months, it's like, dude, like if that's paid off, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why should I have to go get another car loan to keep 5 years of age history?
That's how they
plus?
get you. That's
So-
why.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a freaking system, man.
Yeah, they should
It's a
make it like
system.
inquiries at least, where like make it stay on for 2 years. You know, I got to deal with that little freaking. I checked something out for 2 years. Like at least like let one of my good closed accounts stay on. For
I mean, like
that.
most of the time they do stay there, but it takes it away from the credit age.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah,
like
just
let it
show
stay
the
on for
close.
like 2. You know,
And that's another thing about authorized users. Like my credit age right now is like six and a half years.
Yeah.
Because of those authorized users.
Yeah,
So that's where they can become helpful,
yeah.
to a degree anyway. authorized users can also hurt you. You know, if
Yes,
you're
they can.
on someone's account who missed a
Missed
payment
payment,
or just has high utilization, that's on your credit because you're technically an authorized user. So in the bank's eyes, you're using that account,
Yep.
even though you may not be. It's basically like a joint account. So if they have high utilization, you have high utilization, which could run into some problems trying to get financing or do anything really.
You know what's nuts right now about debt? Credit card debt has never been so high in America right now.
Wow.
Yeah, we're in crazy debt right now. I mean, the economy is obviously nuts. These interest rates that they're charging is the highest that it's ever been on these credit cards. Like, they're really trapping like the average American. It's honestly like a little sad.
They're
but,
pushing out the middle class.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing out the middle class for sure. But that's why you gotta do the right thing. Work harder than everybody else, and you too can be above middle class.
It definitely takes a lot, but it's
Yeah.
definitely worth it.
No, it comes down to, like, I'd probably say within the next like 20 years, it's probably gonna be you're either rich or poor. You know, there's gonna be like nothing in between. Like we're getting like pretty close to like socialism
Yeah,
here.
borderline
Yeah,
communism.
yeah, it's getting pretty rough.
The debt just weighs heavy and inflation is so high that it just pushes you down more.
Yeah.
And then the more that you utilize your cards, the lower your score is. Then you go to apply for a car or a house, and then your rate is huge. So then more debt is on top of you.
Yeah,
And then
it's
what
just
are
a
you-
compound effect.
And then what are you going to do?
it's just a compounding effect.
It's literally a pot mixing up a future bankruptcy,
Yeah, yeah,
which sucks.
it's true. How many bankruptcies are you allowed to have in a lifetime?
Can't you get one like every
3.
10 years?
You can have 3.
You can have 3.
You get 3 bankruptcies in your lifetime.
Really?
Yeah, Trump has 2.
3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah. What?
3 strikes and you're out.
3 strikes. You're
What
out.
happens after the third one? You're just screwed with the debt.
I just don't think you could file bankruptcy
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, you just gotta take that one on.
You're just screwed with the debt.
Something really interesting about bankruptcies is that if you do happen to file for bankruptcies, you kind of pick and choose like what accounts get filed within that bankruptcy. So if you have, $50,000 in Chase debt, you have a car loan, you have your mortgage with U.S. Bank, and this one with Wells Fargo, whatever it might be. If you have a bankruptcy and you bankrupt that Chase and that Bank of America and that Wells Fargo, and eventually it becomes discharged, whatever it is, those 3 banks, well, they're not going to want to lend to you. Now, you can actually have a bankruptcy on your credit profile and go to a different bank or a different credit union that was not involved in that bankruptcy. But those 3 banks or whatever banks were involved in that bankruptcy, your relationship with them is
Yeah.
cooked.
Forever.
It is cooked.
It's like your
Gone
ex-girlfriend from
forever.
middle school. It's never gonna happen again. She don't want you, bro.
Stop trying.
It's over.
Stop
she
trying.
Don't, she don't want you.
Give it up. It does suck though, because some of these banks, their internal data is so deep. You could have like
yeah.
5
Oh, yeah. We deal
NSFs
with
from
people
6
like
years ago, and they're
2002,
declined.
they had a charge off with American Express. It's like, nope, we're not going to deal with you.
It's like 22 years
Yeah.
didn't
And
change
they don't think
anything?
to tell us because they think it's so old that like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like it's important for us to know.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
You
wait a
don't
second.
want to waste an inquiry.
No.
Inquiries are important too. That's another thing to bring up. Obviously, it weighs pretty heavily on your score. So when you are shopping around for financing, on whether it be a car, a mortgage, a business loan, like you really want to go somewhere that could do a soft pull in the upfront so they know where your credit's at. And that's why it's good to work with a broker, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that they could, as long as they soft pull your credit in the upfront and they can pinpoint and know exactly where to bring you, because some lenders will do soft pulls, some might do a hard pull, but as long as they know for a fact that based off your credit profile, like you're definitely going to get approved at this bank, at this lender, at this mortgage company, then it's worth it, obviously. Because if you get financing, you got to assume you're going to get an inquiry, but you don't want to end up with 3, 4, 5 inquiries because then you go apply for another place and it's like you're toasted. And what a lot of people will do is they'll go apply online to like 3 or 4 different places, pull their credit hard, get declined from all of them because they didn't meet their credentials in some way, shape, or form. Then they finally find the broker. They work with the broker, and now the broker's dealing with a 4 or 5 inquiry situation. They got to get a lot more savvier. Maybe the lender or bank that they go to is not going to be as strong as it could have been in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something just to really be careful about, and also know the lender and the bank, like which credit bureau they're going to be pulling that inquiry from as well, so you can strategically go about it in that fashion as well.
Yeah, and on average, if for everybody to know, one inquiry affects your score somewhere between 2 and 5 points. 2 and 5 points.
Yeah, it's
So-
nothing crazy. It's just the lenders don't like seeing it. It's not like it's going to affect your
Exactly.
score that much. They just don't like
Exactly.
seeing it.
Yeah. And like the thing that sucks the most about it is it's so opposite of how everyone operates. You're going to go and buy something. Maybe you'll go to Walmart. Maybe you'll go to Target. Maybe you'll go check around, price compare. You can't do that with financing. You're going to like toast your credit report, like you said. Even if you do get approved at Chase, Capital One, Bank of America, and U.S. Bank, but it's not quite what you want, and you're trying to apply somewhere else, it's only going to get worse and worse the more it looks like you need
It's
money.
important you do your due diligence before you shop for any financing or work with a broker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either or. If you're going to put a lot of research into it, great, cool, awesome. But if not,
One
then-
thing that's nice about certain lenders, I'm going to say, because mainly in the mortgage industry, is if you do that, if you apply for 5, 6 credit cards, even business credit cards per se, and you actually accept them, most mortgage lenders, if you're working with a good mortgage broker at least, they'll give you the opportunity to write an explanation on why these are here, right? Oh, I was shopping around, genuinely just shopping around. I didn't accept all 5 of these credit cards. Meanwhile, they're business cards. Maybe you did.
Yeah.
But in certain, not all, not even most, but certain, the right mortgage brokers, you can give that explanation to them as to why these inquiries are on your account, because mortgages are pretty cool and also, and obviously pretty annoying, but it's also it's the biggest purchase of your life, where they'll take a blended score of all 3 of your credit bureaus. On average, you can have a 650 on one, a 700 on one, and a 750 on one, averaging out at 700. That's what they want to see. They want to see that blended score of about 700 of a credit score for you to be able to get it. So even if you do have a tanked credit report on your TransUnion, but your Equifax and your Experian are still nice, you can actually still get qualified for a mortgage with that one tanked bureau.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That they blend that like that.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, that financing kind of blends mortgage and auto inquiries. They kind of they understand. You know, you go to one place and they'll run your credit 10, 13,
Yeah, you're buying
15
a car.
times.
run
And
you
one
cars.
day,
Oh,
bro, it's so terrible.
Hate seeing
I'm gonna have
that.
Annie Elliott go beat the shit out of all of you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're friends
Fill up
with
a
Andy.
fucking pillowcase with bricks and just beat you up.
Yeah, no, it is horrible though, because somebody's looking for a car.
Dude, it's so shot. That's why those guys should just freaking just stick to selling cars and like get the hell out of finance.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like they should like broker out the financing, dude. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's like they do not know what they're doing, bro, and like they don't realize like how they're affecting like good, hardworking people, dude. I
Yeah.
have no idea. Like, how do you know this guy's not going to get a mortgage in
Yeah.
2-3 weeks? Like, he's getting a car, then he's getting his house. Like, he's buying his wife a car because they're having a kid on the way, and then they need to buy a house. Like, they don't think about shit like that.
Well,
That's why-
their mortgage letter should have
I
educated
know,
them.
agreed, and I'm sure that they probably did, but you never
Yeah.
know. Like these people, sometimes they just have a set plan in their head. Like, let me go get a car, and then I'll go get a mortgage. Maybe they didn't speak to the officer yet, and that's
Yeah.
why Appio does a really good job on his first discovery calls of asking these people, like, hey, you know, before we, you know, apply with any banks, so we get an inquiry or two on each report on each bureau. You know, are you making any major purchases throughout your life at some point? You know, are you looking to get a home anytime soon? Do you need to get an auto loan anytime soon? Because if so, you know, maybe we'll hold out in the process for a little bit. And we win a lot of business that way, being consultative and explaining that to people and, you know, going about it that way. Also, how we win a lot of business as well is that sometimes people just need money for their business no matter what. It's like kind of do or die. And we work with banks who do soft credit pulls.
Yep.
So the banks have no idea that we even apply with them, you know, the mortgage companies or whatever have no idea that we even apply with banks, you know, to get them business financing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good to work with people who are reputable in
Yeah.
that sense too.
Yeah. Now you have $50, $100, $150,000 on a forever revolving line of credit without any increase.
Yeah.
If-
No one even knows. It's like it never even happened.
Yeah, it's great.
But you know.
Yeah.
We
we
know.
know.
We know.
We all know.
Benefits of working with a broker.
Brokers. Brokers.
Not the brokers.
I only work with direct brokers.
That's me, the direct broker. But I mean, startup businesses too. It's huge. If you're gonna go and start up a business, make sure your credit profile is as peak as it possibly can be, and get yourself a business credit card.
Yeah.
Get a business credit card, because you're going to utilize the hell out of that card, and it's going to destroy your score
Yeah.
right away.
Yep.
Which, it's not that you don't have good credit. It's just the fact that you're now leveraged to your visible maximum.
Yeah.
So a lender is not going, or a bank rather, is not going to want to give you additional credit when the credit that you have is already maxed out.
But Tom, I had to use my personal credit cards to get my business off the ground. Happens all the
Shoulda came to
time.
Lexington.
time.
Happens
We would've
all
helped
the
you.
time. Look, I completely understand that, Mr. Customer, but we know how these banks operate.
Yeah.
So we need to work something out. Now we need to build a little step-by-step program to get you into your traditional
And that's why
financing
it's
you're looking
crucial
for.
when you have that high credit score and you're opening up the business to get business credit cards off the rip, like Tom said, so that they don't report your credit.
Yeah.
One thing that we find a lot too, it's really interesting, and it obviously makes sense, but like we'll have people who have like 800 credit, but they'll still get declined in our program because the thing is, like, think about it, like say like you have like an 80-year-old grandfather and he's had, you know, a Chase credit card for like 50 years and he's been making his payments on it or whatever, but he has like one late payment, you know, from like last week. But his score is still an 800 because he's
Yeah.
had tremendous credit for so long. So like stuff like that happens all the time too. It's like people like yes, they have stellar credit, but it's like, dude, if you just missed a payment like last week or the week before, even if you still have 700 plus, that could still go and affect you. So you really want to make sure that you're making your payments on time.
Make sure that auto pay is on. I heard that.
Yeah,
a lot.
auto pay is important. Second, you get a card, they'll send you information in the mail to set up like the app on your phone, or if you're not like that savvy, you could go on the computer on your desktop and set it up, and then set up that auto pay right away.
Have your grandkids set it up
I was
for
just
you.
about to say,
Please
yeah, if
have
you're
your-
older, have someone set it up.
Even
for
though
you,
we don't really have older viewers here.
Yeah, I guess not for the viewers, but tell your
Have
grand-
young
tell your
John- have young
grandparents,
Johnny
tell your
stop by.
parents.
Actually, yeah, call your grandpa, see if he needs help.
Yeah.
That's
that's
how.
right.
I'll
If
do
he's
that,
still
Don't be
getting,
selfish.
if he's still sending checks in the mail, help him out.
Yeah, please, please.
please have him
Another
stop.
thing that I'm not sure how you could really avoid besides hearing about it. A lot of people got a lot of missed payments when certain cards get sold to certain companies.
Oh my god.
Because it stops the payment, like the auto pay.
Yeah.
So like if Capital One purchases like a form of a store card,
Yeah.
and it turns into or Discover, that's the one I
Yeah.
hear a lot. They'll go into collections.
the
They'll get a
processing
charge off
system,
because they
yeah.
don't realize, and they're not. That's why you always have to check your report.
It
You know
happens
what I
all the
mean?
time. And with the big Truist is going around
That's
purchasing
important, Tom.
so many different smaller banks and credit unions. And,
just
and
bought,
it happens all the time.
Suncoast or whatever,
SunTrust,
A
yeah.
while ago. That's important to bring up, is that everybody should pay for some sort of credit monitoring. I know Experian's free, Credit Karma's free, and like that's all cool and all because they do see your scores and you'll see if like you missed a payment and stuff like that. But I think it's important to pay, 10, 20, 30 bucks with a credit monitoring company. We use MyScoreIQ, so
It's great.
quick
Yep.
shout out MyScoreIQ, Tom Fragalo over there, the boys.
Thanks,
Tom.
Thank you, Tom. You're the man.
Yeah.
Hope you're watching this. I'm sure he'll watch our credit
Yeah.
video.
Tom
Eh,
loves us.
Yeah.
You better.
You better watch a credit video. But yeah, I mean, it's so worth the $30, and like, especially because like, there's a lot of obviously identity theft and stuff like that nowadays, and it'd be a little delayed to know through your experience if you have some more identity theft. You would have to like once the score drops, you'd have to start looking into it and be like,
It's a little too late.
yeah, and then it's like too late at that point. But it's like if you have like your alerts on and you have MyScoreIQ, you have a credit monitoring system. It's like the second somebody applies for a card, even if it was you, know, you get a notification right away. You're
Yeah.
well aware. So I think it's something that's always worth the money, getting your identity stolen. People get their identity stolen. People run up cars, they run up mortgages, they get auto loans, and they can't do anything about it. Like the credit bureaus won't take the stuff off. Like it's hard to prove that it's not you. You know what I mean?
You have
It
to
could
the
just
FBI.
completely screw you.
Yeah, you
They'd
would
have
have
to
to
go
call
to
the
the
police.
FBI.
Yeah,
it's
FBI.
crazy.
Kind of a-
Yeah, the
kind of a-
local police isn't going to help you,
Yeah.
nor do they care.
No.
Yeah.
Kind of a scary story that we heard from one of our clients actually was he got his identity stolen from what was it, airport Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I don't even know if
Insane.
I don't even know if it was the Wi-Fi, but he plugged his USB into the USB, not the two-prong outlet. Because I don't think can you track? No, right?
No.
But he plugged his USB into the airport USB charger.
Scary world we live in.
Yeah, it's
dude.
terrifying.
Real quick
Scary world we
cyber
live
tip
in.
for you guys now that we'll talk about that, cyber expert. So if you're going up to any terminal that has a card, jiggle it real quick because they make things you could cover over it that sends your IP, bumps you out. If you're walking through anywhere, make sure that you have one of those RFID sleeves on your cards.
Yeah.
Someone could bump into you
I gotta
literally
get
just
one of
like
those.
that.
With
They'll jack
RFID
your
wallets.
information. Yeah, if you go up to literally like even like 7-Eleven or any like convenience store, like their thing, just give it a little touch real quick because you can literally lay something over that's a millimeter thick and you'll get your information
Yeah.
stolen.
Yeah. And that's why you should use that's why you should use credit cards too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never
Not
use
debit.
Never
Yeah,
use debit cards
Yeah.
ever.
Throw away
because-
your debit card.
Yeah, credit cards. Obviously, people are less responsible with. People like to use debit cards because they feel they're being more responsible. I have $1,000 in my account. I spend it. I spend $200. Comes right out. I'm at 800. I know where I'm at. That's good. But it's a little hard to keep track of your expenses with a credit card. But if anything happens, somebody steals your card, whatever, they run it up. It's a lot easier to charge it back and reach out to your credit card company and prove that wasn't you and get the money back. I'd say 9 times out of 10, you're able to charge that back on your credit cards and you'll be fine. I'd say 9 times out of 10 with a debit card, you're shit out of luck.
Done.
You're
Oh, yeah.
done. Yeah, it's
So
not
with
gonna
a
happen.
debit
but
card,
You're
but
not
I,
gonna get the money
I don't
back.
care about the point. I get points on it. It's not about the points always.
It's kind of about the points.
the security.
Yeah.
It's about. I mean, yeah, it is. But there are debit cards out there nowadays where you do
Really?
actually earn points and rewards. So if you're one of those guys and like, but I get my points on my debit, it's not just about
Yeah,
that.
just
But
get a
it's
credit
about
card
your
that gets you
protection.
points.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing too about credit cards is like there's points and rewards. Like I have like 2 point something like million freaking Amex points right now. Like one day my family's gonna live lavish off Amex points. And
Amex
just
better stay.
Stack those things to the moon. You know what I
I
mean?
want to touch on the credit monitoring that you were saying before, and I
Same.
personally have the MyScoreIQ for my personal and business credit. I like to monitor, and I get emails pretty frequently on any updates that do happen to change. But if for some God-given reason you just refuse to pay for it, I'm a big fan of the Wombo combo of Experian and Credit Karma.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Experian,
Yeah, if you're not gonna
there's
pay
your
for it,
three major credit bureaus: Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. You have a free Experian account, and your Credit Karma. Well, it's owned by TransUnion, so you actually have your TransUnion, and they also are partnered up with Equifax, where they have your TransUnion and Equifax. So you have all three of them there that you can check on a moment's notice. You know, your Experian will update pretty much daily. Sometimes they lag a little bit, a couple of days apart. Your TransUnion will update daily on your Credit Karma, and your Equifax will update weekly on your Credit Karma. So if you need to be checking all three of your bureaus, that's a good, cheap, free way to at least be able to monitor all three of your bureaus when you want to.
And Credit Karma's Vantage, so the scores might vary, but it's going to display all the same information correctly.
It's the information. A lot of people, bitch and moan about but my Credit Karma shows that I'm 30 points less than this and that and the third. Well, all right, it's just a different weight. It's a different weight. It's the FICO to the Vantage to the 8 to the 9 to the 1.0 to the 2.0. It's just different weights.
FICO weight's really where you
everything.
could kind of base your life around.
Yeah.
I'd say, in my opinion.
Most utilized, yeah.
Yeah, that one's the
Yeah.
the
FICO
latest one.
8 to me is the most utilized. Just your plain FICO 8.
One thing I want to talk about too, not just the main difference between business credit and personal credit, but like we were touched on slightly, these Instagram gurus telling people that they can get. It honestly pisses me off.
So
'cause
much.
These people come in with such high hope that they can get $500,000 in their startup business with just their EIN. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I get it. Like they're not in that realm,
Yeah.
so it's easy to deceive, but.
Yeah.
It's horrible to be the one to have to break the news. Like, hey, listen, like
know.
that's just simply it's not true. Like,
Yeah.
there's always going to be a degree of personal guarantee in it.
Yeah.
Always,
Always.
unless you're
Walmart.
Amazon.
a publicly traded company doing multi-million dollars a year.
Lexington.
Lexington,
But
there's always going to be personal guarantee. Don't think that it's not going to be there. It's going to be there.
yeah.
PG aside, even if you're going in, you have a fresh EIN, you got a 600 credit score, you're still not getting anything.
Yeah.
Nothing fruitful anyway. So
Yeah.
that's definitely just these videos are silly. Don't listen to an Instagram video when you could call your local broker.
It's true.
If you see someone say comment funded to get $500,000 for your business,
Don't comment
do it.
funded. Yeah. Comment you're an asshole.
For real.
Yeah.
And
No, I don't believe you.
no, it's like
Prove
in this world, honestly, if someone's saying something that just seems outlandish or too good to be true, it's because it most likely is.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Like your local credit repair person. Want to
Yeah.
break into credit repair? Credit repair is a very colluded, tricky industry, where everybody says, I can get this off your report in 30 days. Most credit repair companies out there can't get anything off of your report within 30 days, 60 days, or pretty much ever. And it's also technically illegal for them to charge you an upfront charge if you're a credit repair company, although it is how most people do it. And I think that's how it should be done as well. But you are paying for a service that is not a guarantee. That is why we had eventually stopped our credit repair program, because we want to have clients leave Lexington's doors with a big smile on their face. And if you're unable to get something accomplished, well, that's not something that we want to offer. If you're looking for a credit repair person, look at their reviews, see how many there are, read them, genuinely do some deep due diligence, and I hate to use this company's name.
We have no affiliation with
Zero.
them.
Zero.
Absolutely
Zero.
zero affiliation.
Zero. Lexington Law. Zero affiliation with them. They deserve to burn to the ground. They
already
burned so
did.
many clients. Yeah, they're currently bankrupt.
Bankrupt,
right?
yeah.
They're going through one of their probably many bankruptcies.
The funniest thing is when the sales guys are on a call and they're like, "No, I'm not Lexington Law."
Yeah, just hearing that
I
from
hear
you.
that probably 5 times a day, dude. I'd be so pissed.
don't work with Lexington Law for your credit repair. Find somebody reputable, preferably within your network. Somebody that you can personally know and hold liable to a personal extent, where if they don't get what you need done, like they don't want you bad-mouthing them to your friend who referred you over to them. Do business with good people. Credit repair, it's a very difficult industry to work with.
don't forget, you could just take a little bit of time, learn a little bit about it, and just do it yourself.
I was about to say
Yeah.
you could do it yourself with MyScore IQ.
Q.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
You could
yeah, no,
dispute-
they offer a nice, cool service because now you can monitor your credit and you could dispute all your stuff too, and it's going to be less than it would be if you were to go to some credit repair guy.
Yeah. And
And
you
like,
learn.
there's videos, tutorials, like learn it on your own, because learning it is going to teach you how to be better when you need it. You know, so it's better to learn it, do it yourself, especially if you're a business owner, you're just a startup person, you know, anyone who's just learning, get your own credit repair, get your credit report, and just watch a video or two, you know, like they have them there for you. Dispute your own stuff.
And if in the event you're somebody who had an unfortunate situation where your credit was heavily impacted, whether it be bankruptcy or divorce or COVID, you know, whatever happened, the best, most simple way to get it back is make sure your debts are paid. First of all, don't just have a collections open and think getting a new secured card is going to help you, because I've heard that a lot. I did a little like Zoom webinar one time, and the whole room asked me, hey, like, if I have a collection, should I pay off my collections or should I add a new trade line? And it was like, dude, like, you have to pay that debt. You know what I mean? Like, your score could say something, but if you have an open collections, that's alarming. So, like we were saying, you could still have 800 with a late payment that you just got, but no one's going to want to lend to you because that late payment. If you have an open collections, you have to make sure your debts are paid no matter how long it takes you. And then you can get your secure card, and then you can add new trade lines, and you just redo it again. And
Also, if someone's in collections too, like, you got a good chance of bargaining with these people too.
Yeah.
Like you could, you could call them up and play a hardball with them, because if they put you into collections, they basically deem that you're not going to pay them. They already, are living with the fact that they're not going to get their money from you. So it's like, you owe $5,000, be like, hey, in the back of your head, knowing that you need to pay this, hey, I'm willing to pay $3,000 today, but you need to guarantee that this is getting, taken off of my credit report right away. So I'm saying I'm in good standing with you. And more times than not, it probably can happen, because they're going to want some money than no money, obviously.
And if they
They'll do
do
it.
say they'll do it, make sure they send you a letter first that you sign saying that they're going to do what they're going to do, because they're collections people. They're just going to say what they got to say to get you to pay the debt. So if you're going to take any of those routes, send me something saying that if I pay you this $3,000, it's coming off my file and it's not going to affect me negatively. And then, sign that, then pay them.
And so I financed a truck, a nice Ram for my friend back in the day.
We're friends. You never financed a Ram for me.
Well, yeah.
I would love a Ram.
Now I surround myself with friends who don't need that.
I can afford a Ram. I'll take one TRX.
He went late on. He missed his not his first payment, but his next 5 payments. I got a letter in the mail saying it was in repossession, and I went and I had to repo it my damn self. For a while I was like, shit, this is going to be on my credit report for 7 years. Now I know what I know, and I know the right people, and I was able to get it removed. Thank goodness. Credit's back up to the 8s, maron. But just things to know, and never finance a vehicle for a friend. Barely finance one for a family member.
Unless you're going to pay it.
If it's your kid,
Be
all
ready to
right. If
pay
it's
it,
your parent, help
Depending
them
on the
out.
kid, I feel like you should co-sign for yourself.
But at the end of the day,
my
if
father
you're going to
co-signed
do
for
it,
me, and I appreciate that because I needed it at the time for a car. But I feel like you would know,
But if you're going to do it, be ready to pay it if you have to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
of course.
Because it's worth paying that than ruining your credit.
No, of course.
But
and also, I would also suggest that if you have a son, you should probably suggest him get a used car. Before he goes out and finances a car. One last thing I'll leave you guys with too, if you want to be a good parent, second your son, daughter turns like 13, 14, 15, 16, get them as an authorized user on your card. You could do it that early. Once they turn 18, have them go apply for a credit card right away, a student card, have a limit on it, whatever the case may be, whether they could spend, and then that's be a good quick way for them to, start their life with some good credit right then and there. So.
So, I mean, overall, watch your utilization. Make sure you're making your payments on time.
Yep.
Don't shop around for financing because it's going to chop you up. Do your due diligence. Find a broker.
Have a bunch of different accounts, revolving installment.
Don't close them unless you have to. You can't do much about the auto. But as long as you have something open and revolving, keep $20 on it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Keep that open. When it comes to business and personal credit, business is only for payment history, has nothing to do with anything else, and it does not report to your personal credit, with the exception of a few business credit cards. And if you're starting a business, utilize your personal credit to get business cards. Do not utilize your personal credit to run your business.
Open
Yes,
your
sir.
EIN number. Open up your LLC, your corporation, 6 months before you plan on doing anything. Plan on spending a dime, and get yourself business credit cards, business financing, whatever. It's mainly just business credit cards that you can get before while your pre-revenue and your time in business is really short. But do that first so you don't rack up that personal credit card debt. And
Yes,
everything
sir.
Tom's saying, those key takeaways are so important. Keep your utilization low. Pay on time, like Tom's saying, and build your credit from when you are young. start young. I didn't start till I was 21. Tom didn't start till even a little bit later.
24, yeah.
And luckily we know what we know, and we were able to fast track ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ahoo.
Ahoo. Ahoo.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I love that I do that.
All day like, all night like, credit like, roommate like, room be like, gong like. Guys, episode 35. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up.
I feel like this is such an important episode because no one makes videos like this. No one's transparent about it.
Yeah, it's true. This is one of our most educational videos.
Everyone's trying to sell you some program.
Yeah.
Like all you gotta do is
We don't even do credit. We just know about credit.
Get your money up, get your credit up, and get over to Lexington.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, sir. And if you sell drugs, still build your credit. You never know.
You gotta buy a house one day.
It's true, bro. Don't think everything's
Cash gets
cash.
sketchy.
The
Yes,
IRS
sir.
will let you pay tax on it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Lex out, guys. Oh, real quick.
Lex in.
Last episode, we're back in. I want you to play that fucking clip. Hope you guys found this educational. We freaking love you guys. We freaking love you guys. Thanks for getting us to 1,500 subscribers. Like, let's clap it up.
Seriously,
Because that's a tremendous accomplishment. And like I said, just put shit out in the air, breathe it, eat it, sleep it, believe in it, say it, execute upon it. We'll have 3,000 in 4 episodes in another month from now.
Help us out, guys.
Help us out,
Tell your
guys.
friends.
Tell your
Tell your
family.
families.
Tell your
post
friends.
it on your stories.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Before I say
yeah,
this,
yeah,
last
yeah.
episode we had 1,500 subscribers. I said in 4 more episodes in a month that we would have 3,000. Today, 1 week later, we got 13,500 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate
We're
it. Yes,
beating
sir.
out the Paul brothers. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck the Paul brothers. We're better. We're coming for you. Our competitors, we already passed you. Paul brothers, we're coming for you on the
We're
YouTube
competitors.
scale. We started YouTube late in the game.
Yeah,
all right?
a little bit.
Give us a year, and Paul bros, you're out the game.
It was saturated.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You'll see me fighting Tyson, one of these days.
Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
I love you, but we're still coming for you.
Love you, Rogue. We are, though.
Not enough room for 2 baldies, Joe.
And you know which time it is. Oh, 1.
Can we do this?
2. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home